single-handedly caused a war between my family with one text message. So my brother's wedding happened 2 days ago, and it turned into complete chaos, which I know even though I wasn't there. You might wonder why I didn't attend the wedding if it was my brother's. Well, it's because of his wife's family. He did send me an invitation for the wedding because he wanted me there, but his fiance told him I couldn't attend because I had a boyfriend. You might be confused. Yes, I am confused. But I'm a man. A bisexual man to be exact, and I have a boyfriend who I wanted to bring to the wedding. So they weren't supportive of that? She said even though she doesn't have a problem with that.
Sure, Jan.
And he doesn't have a problem with that, her extremely religious parents, who already forced her to do the wedding in a church, would most likely banish us from the wedding and cause trouble between our families. After she told him that, my brother told me I couldn't attend and told me why. Okay, I'm gonna keep my thoughts to myself, I guess, on that one. You might think I was angry. The truth is, I was relieved. Okay, so I guess I'm just angry. I hate going to big events with lots of people because of my social anxiety. And I was already used to not being able to attend certain events because of my sexuality, so it was nothing that I haven't heard before. So on the day of the wedding, I stayed at home with my boyfriend. It's worth mentioning, my parents apparently didn't know that I wasn't attending the wedding. I was chilling at home, cuddling with my boyfriend, when I suddenly got a text message from my parents asking me where I was because they couldn't find me at the wedding party. I told them I wasn't attending the wedding and that my brother hasn't told them anything. They said no and asked me what happened. I didn't see any reason to lie, so I sent them a text message telling them exactly why. Now, I have to admit, I don't exactly know what happened after I sent this text message because they read it, but didn't reply. You got left on red. Oh, I turned those red receipts off. I'm not a very good texter, and I don't want you to know that. It's not personal. And why do they care in the first place? They didn't notice I wasn't there until the wedding was already over. They only noticed when the wedding party started. However, apparently my parents talked to my brother about it, and all of a sudden, my absence was the main topic of the wedding party. From what I heard, two fronts formed. On the one hand, my parents and the rest of my family were against the family of my brother's wife. And apparently he, as a husband now, felt compelled to take her side and tried to argue in her favor. It's crazy to think that I was just sitting at home living my best life with my boyfriend when all of that crap went down on his wedding. The wedding party was ruined and my brother appeared on my door angrily screaming at me why I felt the need to ruin his wedding. I was confused and asked him what happened and he told me everything. I told him it wasn't my intention. I just told our parents what happened because they didn't know and wanted to know where I was, and I thought that he told them beforehand. He screamed at me that I just ruined the wedding. I told him it's not my fault. He wasn't honest with them. I just respected their wish to not attend the wedding. I didn't know it would go down like this because, like I said, I couldn't attend several events before because of my sexuality, and my parents never said anything about it. So I thought that it would be the same thing here. But I got to admit, it's kind of sweet that my parents and the rest of the family stood up for me. They haven't done it before. That is more than welcome change. But I still feel kind of bad because apparently I ruined the wedding party. Okay, but like, not your fault. I'm still angry for you. You're less angry than I am about the situation. The first update came June 2nd, 2023, 2 days later. Didn't think I'd give an update, but many interesting things have happened. I think my voice just cracked. So after my brother visited his wife, he went to the honeymoon. And the way the wedding party went might have been even worse than I imagined. What happens now is incredible. When I said in the main post that two fronts had formed, I only meant that metaphorically, of course, but it's no longer that. While nothing much interesting happened in the first 2 days afterwards, the terror started as soon as my brother and his wife went on their honeymoon. My mom and dad visited me and told me how the wedding party escalated and they were so close to physical violence. I thought it was funny at first, but this truly bothers me. I also want to point out that you did a great job convincing me it's not my fault. but hearing my parents' side still gave me a bad feeling in my stomach. However, like I said, the terror started shortly after they went on their honeymoon. And when I say terror, I mean that my sister-in-law's family found both my Facebook and Instagram account and started spamming me with hateful messages. I received insults and hateful messages from various different accounts who all had one thing in common. They all had somewhat of a Christian theme and all of them had the same last name. So it wasn't hard to find out whose account it was. Mainly because I don't know my sister-in-law's family at all. I only know her and I know her parents were homophobic Christians. But whatever. They not only started attacking me, they also found the account of my boyfriend over my account because we're linked as a couple and started to send him the same messages. Like, how old are you? You're online bullying? Are you kidding me? The messages contained one side typical stuff like, you're burning in hell for your sins. One even called me and my boyfriend two devils in disguise. The other side were just blatant insults. You get the idea. I called my parents and told them what they were doing. Then I sent a text message to my brother with screenshots of the messages his wife's family sent to me, which he replied that I, quote, shouldn't disturb him with that during his honeymoon, as I already destroyed his wedding party. Yeah, I have some issues with your brother and the way he treats you, but that's okay, not my business. I couldn't believe it. He was just like them. He did send me an apology after my mom told me that she called him. But none of this is the main reason I'm giving you guys this update this early. Because I got a call this morning from an unknown number. I hesitated because I thought it was one of them, and I was right. But it was none of the people who insulted me. I heard a woman's voice who introduced herself as the half-sister of my brother's wife. She said it didn't go unnoticed what her family was doing, and she wanted to apologize for them. I told her I'm not going to tell anyone in her family about this and that I don't blame her for her family's actions. She thanked me and hung up. I don't know why, but I have a feeling she only did this to protect her family from being reported. My mother wrote to me earlier that she wants to report the insults and the harassment of these people and that she demands for my brother to divorce his wife. I don't even think the ink is dry. And she will disinherit him from her will because, quote, that is not how she raised him. A little radical in my opinion, but I understand where she's coming from. This entire thing escalated so much, it's unbelievable. Thank y'all for the support on my first post. We have many, many updates to come. Next update is the next day. Some of you are wondering why I seem so calm and casual in the update when I'm being discriminated against. The truth is that I have been in a relationship with my boyfriend for 3 years now, and the things that are happening now are nothing compared to what I've been through, which it makes me really sad. That should never be normalized. I receive hateful messages almost daily, not only from their accounts, but in general. And I have learned to ignore it. There have been way worse situations, such as when my boyfriend went to visit his family and I couldn't go with them. We kissed each other goodbye at the train station when the train left and a group of guys attacked me. I was sent to the hospital because of severe injuries. Just to give you an idea of what I had to deal with in the past. I'm gonna cry. I always cry. And don't get me wrong, we will report my sister-in-law's family, but what they are doing is nothing I haven't seen 1,000 times before. I feel I'm more emotional. What else is new though? Next update came June 12th. 9 days later. It's been a few days. First of all, my boyfriend and I are fine. Luckily for us, they didn't go any further with their text messages. My mom filed a report against them. I don't know the current situation about that as I haven't filed the report myself. The reason I update you is a different one. One person in my sister-in-law's family is actually going to testify in my favor and against her family. Whoa. It really takes courage to do so. It's the same person that called me in the last update. Somehow they found out that she is into women. No reason to hide it anymore. However, she said she's fine and is going to stay at a friend's house. I have so much respect for what she does. Imagine the strength you need to testify against your own family. I now feel bad for assuming she only called me to save her family from being reported. More importantly, what is the current situation with my brother? Well, my mom talked to him and told him to leave his wife or she will disinherit him from her will. He decided to stay with his wife and my mom made her threat come true. He's no longer in her will. My father did the same. When I visited them, I also told them that I wish that this entire situation went differently. They assured me it's not my fault, but I feel like if it wasn't for me, then my family wouldn't be ripped apart like this. Haven't talked to my brother since then. My brother feels similar. He also told me he kind of feels responsible for all of this chaos. I assured him it was not his fault, but honestly, I wasn't even sure I could say this in my position. On the other hand, it was my sister-in-law's family that ruined everything, and everything would have been fine if I could have just attended. But now it's time for me to grow distant from the situation. We see what the report will do. I followed your advice to document everything. The insulting and harassing messages continued until 2 days ago. So I have much to say about them. Unfortunately, homophobia is still very much normalized in our society. I already said it in a post. It's the simple fact that I'm used to situations like this. They don't get to me anymore. If I let any insult get to me, I wouldn't make it for a long time. It's a coping mechanism. I've been into situations where I was sent into the hospital, so insults and harassment like theirs is nothing I haven't seen before. I want to thank you all for the support. I need to know where this report is going. But let's hydrate, because if you can hear it in my throat, I'm a little bit sticky. There's some phlegm going on in there. It's not pleasant. Let me know what you are cheersing with today. It's water in my cup. Cheers. Drink your water. Next update came August 22nd, 2 months later. So last time I told you my mother was pressing charges against them, and to my surprise, we won. They weren't going to jail or anything, but they had to pay for their actions. Literally. There was one incident where my sister-in-law's dad was actually trying to find out where I lived and asked my brother, who told him. Only God knows what he would have done to us if we still had lived there. But in the time span of the last 2 months, me and my boyfriend moved to a different place, which my brother didn't know anything about. Thank God for that. Also, their social media accounts were deleted. However, I don't know if that was part of their punishment or if they did that themselves. They probably had to do that. My mom also carried out the threat towards my brother and disinherited from her will. After he came back from his honeymoon, he begged her to put him in again. She said only if he apologized to me. She invited me and my boyfriend over, and my brother sat in the living room with this mad look on his face. She made him apologize, but I didn't accept this apology because I could tell it wasn't sincere. Yeah, if someone's making you apologize to me, save it. I told my brother that I am disappointed in him for who he became. Before that, we had this huge bond and usually never judged each other for stuff like this, and all of a sudden, he has such a problem with me having a boyfriend. I just don't get it. I told him that I miss the old him. He didn't respond to anything. He just sat there quietly staring at the bottom. After I finished, he just got up and left. That was the last time I spoke with him, and it's already been a few weeks since this happened. My parents paid much more attention to the discrimination I face since this incident. They wanted to learn more about the problems I face as a queer person. I really love them. My dad even got a bisexual pride flag for me and asked if we could hang it in our bedroom. I love that I have such great parents. I just wished for my brother to become the person he once was. Since the case with my sister-in-law's family is over, I didn't hear anything about their lesbian daughter. She supported us during the process, but we lost contact afterwards, and I hope she's fine. Next, February 16th, 6 months later. Remember that SpongeBob? 2 hours later. That's what it reminds me of.
6 months later.
First of all, I want to give you an update about the sister of my brother's wife. Around 2 months after my update, she texted us and asked if she could come over. We talked for a while, and I was relieved to find out that she is fine. She said that she moved in with her girlfriend when the case was over, simply because her parents and the rest of the family had disowned her and threatened her with physical violence if she dared to return. However, the relationship with her girlfriend ended after a while, and she asked us if she could stay for a few days until she found something. She stayed with us for 2 weeks. During that time, my parents had visited us and offered her to stay with them because they had a big house with some free space. Like, this is So precious. She stays there currently because she wanted to study and my parents had no problem with letting her stay a little longer. My boyfriend also supports her financially a little bit. You know, there's some positives coming out of this negative story. We included her in several different celebrations, such as Christmas and New Year's Eve, and I feel like she is like the sister that I never had. What's probably more interesting for you is how my brother is currently doing. The truth is, I don't know exactly. We haven't talked since the apology. However, he actually tried to attend our Christmas celebration party, but the moment he appeared, my dad kicked him out and said, and I quote, "This homophobic rubbish is no longer allowed in my house." I love him. Oh, by the way, of course, both went through with disowning him. My boyfriend and I are still together, and I feel like he might be the one I want to marry. This entire situation made our bond so much stronger. I plan on proposing to him, but there are so many ideas floating around in my head for the proposal that I can't really decide which one. Also, the social media accounts of my sister-in-law's family had disappeared entirely. All of them, but I assume they already made new ones under a new name. I'm just glad all of that is finally over. I don't have any compassion left for my brother. I just wish he had never developed this way. Everything that happened to him, he brought it on himself. Another update 2 months later. Do you remember when I told you in my last update 2 months ago that I would propose to my boyfriend? Well, I did it today. I brought up so many ideas that it was just really hard to decide, so I gave him some subtle hints. Not too obvious, just enough to see how he reacts and then decide based on his reaction. In the end, I made a photo album of us featuring the most important events in our relationship. Each of them had a thought of mine and a caption below them. Some of them were meaningful, but some of them were just random. Like one photo of us eating at his favorite restaurant on his birthday, and the caption just says something like, "Damn, that pizza was good." That made him laugh. We walked to his favorite spot in town, which is a wonderful lake. That is where I gave him the album and told him it's a present and to look through it. He was focused and didn't notice what I was doing behind him, as I just told him that I was getting something I forgot. I positioned myself behind him, and that is when the last page came into play. The page had a photo of me holding the ring in the same way. I positioned myself behind him looking straight at the camera. And the caption says, "Hopefully he says yes." That's adorable. He turned around in disbelief and started crying almost immediately. I'm gonna cry. Every proposal video I ever watch, I bawl my eyes out. He turned around in disbelief and started crying almost immediately when he saw me. I couldn't even finish the question. He had already said yes. It was exactly how I hoped that it would go. An update in regards to the family came 2 months later. Haven't talked to you for about 2 months. That is because me and my boyfriend are fully invested into planning the wedding. We have a date for it. It's going to be next year. Still, I have so many followers on this account and I want to kind of include you guys on the journey. My sister is currently helping. I don't know if I should mention it here, but my mother recently called me to tell me that my brother apparently got divorced. All that just to get divorced. I have no idea what's going on with him though. Not like I care much, but I guess for some of you, it's probably interesting. I'm sorry, but too much has happened and I really don't want to have anything to do with him anymore. However, 8 months later, there was another mini update. That said, I remember how you guys told me my brother might plan something. He did? I'm still in shock. I'll post my update soon, but for now I have to calm myself down a little. I'm glad for my husband confronting me. Here is the final update, and that came 2 days later. I'll briefly summarize what happened. I got engaged shortly after the update, and now a year later, we're married. I'll be honest, I'm still shaken up. I wouldn't update on the subreddit if something significant hadn't happened. It's amazing that many of my followers have already warned me that my brother might plan something, but I would have never thought it could be so evil. The wedding took place a few days ago. We canceled our honeymoon for now until we settled things because now we wouldn't enjoy it. While we were sitting at the table, eating and talking with our parents about the future, one of the security guards, yes, we did hire some, as you guys suggested, approached me and informed me that someone outside was begging for admission. When I asked who, the guard hesitated briefly and informed me that it was my brother. I told the guard that I would go with him to resolve the situation, but my father, who overheard the conversation, told me to stay put because it was my day and I shouldn't have to deal with it. A little later, shouting was heard from outside. My mother asked me to stay seated. She would go see what was going on, and when she came back, her face was pale as chalk. She told me that my brother and my father were shouting at each other outside. My brother demanded to be let in, and my father told him to F off. At some point, my brother left and my father tried to calm down, but you could still see the veins in his neck with anger. He explained what had happened. We thought that that would be the end of it, but no, it was getting worse. Much worse, in fact. My brother had somehow managed to get past the security guards. When I noticed him, he was approaching with frantic steps, and my father tackled him to the ground. The music in the room stopped and all eyes were on us. I called the security guards. My father was on top of him shouting. My mother covered her mouth in shock. My now husband stood protectively in front of me. The 2 security guards escorted him outside and called the police. Why? Because they had noticed that he had a pocket knife, which he dropped when my father tackled him to the ground. He literally was going to attack you with that? I didn't say that he tried to attack me with it, but I assume that is what would have happened. He was arrested for attempted assault. He kept looking at me. He was no longer recognizable. His eyes were full of anger and hatred. The party was ruined. The police asked all the witnesses for statements and then sent all of the guests home. We currently have to settle some stuff with the police and decided to take our honeymoon later because right now we are not in the state to enjoy it with everything that happened. Anyway, after everything, I'm not only disappointed in what my brother became, I'm straight up terrified. I'm trying to tell myself that he didn't actually try to, well, end me. Yeah, but how exactly do you deal with a situation like this? Me and my husband are trying to get past this and he is so sweet, but I can tell that it affected him too. Anyway, I just wanted to tell you guys because some of you predicted something like this and advised me to hire security guards, but I really underestimated it. I have to take a break for now. Thanks for reading. That is not where I thought that story was going. I thought it was going to end with we got engaged, got married, happily ever after, and never saw my brother again. Nope. And he was divorced from his wife. So he's just a hateful person. With or without his wife and her family in his ear. Let me know your thoughts on the situation and what you would do. What would you do? How do you heal from that? Stay classy out there. Stay sassy. I'll see you tomorrow.